Hi everyone. So I want to drop in and share a few tips on how you can make getting Sisterlocks installed more affordable. But before I jump into my four tips, I want to give you two facts about Sisterlocks. The first thing you have to keep in mind is that Sisterlocks is an investment. When you really think about it, Sisterlocks is basically a process that transforms the texture of your hair ever so slightly to create a different type of texture. So Sisterlocks is not equivalent to a hairstyle, it's not intended to be something that's temporary. It's a semi-permanent to permanent change of the texture of your hair. So of course, getting that kind of change to your hair is going to be an investment. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The second fact I want to talk about is exactly how the cost for Sisterlock installation is actually determined. So when you go to your consultation, your Sisterlock consultant is going to measure your hair all around your head to get what's called the average length of your hair. Most Sisterlock consultants, or AKA locticians, have a base price, and that base price is based upon a certain number of inches. So, for example, let's say your Sisterlock consultant says that from 1 inch to 5 inches maximum is $800. And let's say that every additional inch above those 5 inches is an additional $100. So that gives you an idea of how the math is done. Let me give you a real example. So let's say your hair is on average 8 inches all over. So that's your average length. If you use the same example I just shared with you, the first five of those 8 inches, the first 5 inches is going to be $800, which means that you'll have 3 additional inches to get you to 8. Each of these additional inches is going to be $100 each. So we're going to have $100, $200, $300 in addition. So you have the $800 over here for your 5 inches, and then the $300 over here for the additional 3 inches, which gets you to a total of $1,100. So if you had 8 inches as your average length and your Sisterlock consultant used those numbers as the gauge for how to determine the Sisterlock installation for your hair, then you'll be paying $1,100. So moving forward, as I share my tips, I want you to keep that example in mind because I'll be using it to hopefully help everything make more sense. So let's talk about four things that you can do to make the cost of getting Sisterlocks installed more affordable. Personally, to get you to the goal of less than $1,000. So the first thing that you could do is go to a Sisterlock trainee. Certified Sisterlock consultants have already gone through the certification process, so they are fully vetted to be able to install locks and maintain locks. Trainees are people that are pursuing their certification in Sisterlocks installation and maintenance. As a part of their certification process, they have to have a handful of clients that they actually install and maintain their locks as a part of the complete certification process. So to make the cost more affordable, you could seek out a trainee and get more reduced costs to get your Sisterlocks installed. The second thing that you could do, now this particular tip is pretty drastic. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty drastic, but it is something that you can do. Going back to my example of the 8 inches, right? The 5 inches as a baseline price and the 3 inches in additional for your 8 inches of hair. What you could do is cut off the 3 inches of additional hair where you get down to the baseline average, which in my example would be 5, and you would only pay $800 as opposed to the $1,100 for 8 inches. Now I know that cutting the hair is a drastic step to take, I know, but it is an option to help you get that cost down below that $1,000 mark. Now, the third tip that I have for you really deviates away from the Sisterlock, I guess, system, but it gives you the same look of Sisterlocks and therefore will be more affordable, and that's to get micro locks. Now, micro locks will not have the same grid, it will not be exactly the same as Sisterlocks, but it does give you that aesthetic if that's what you're looking for without the hefty price tag. The last tip I have is if you're like me and you want to go to a certified sister lock consultant, you don't really want to go to a trainee, you don't really want to cut your hair to get to that baseline price, and you really want sister locks, you don't really want an alternative form of sister locks like micro locks, then you could follow this next step. So what you could do is set your installation date far, like 4 or 5 months in the future from your consultation day, so that way you can save for the installation little by little each of those months. And to be honest, that's what I did. I had my consultation, and my install date was 4 months out, and so each of those months I was putting aside money each month, so that by the time I got to that fourth month, I could put all of it together and hand that over to my loctician. So with this, it's kind of like a personal payment plan. With this, I wasn't necessarily paying my loctician every month, but I was putting the money aside in a separate account. So when my install date came, I could go ahead and pay for my install. So that's another option for you. So just to recap, there are 4 options that I'm suggesting to make the cost of Sisterlocks more affordable, and especially to get to that goal of being under $1,000. You could go to a Sisterlock trainee instead of a certified Sisterlock technician, or consultant rather. You can also cut your hair so that way the length of your hair is based on the baseline price, which will make the cost more affordable. You can also get an alternative form of sister locks like micro locks, which will make the cost more affordable as well. And then last but not least, if you don't want to take those first 3 options, then you'll have to pay full price. But if you set your install date further in the future and save a little bit each month, you'll be prepared to pay that full cost by the time your install date comes. It'll be a little bit less of a hit on your account all at one time. Here's one bonus tip that I want to share. So after your locks are installed, you do have to get your locks retightened. And in the very beginning, your sister lock consultant's going to retighten your hair about every 4 weeks, because she needs to, see how fast your hair grows to determine what your actual retightening schedule is going to look like. Now, most of the time, retightening takes place anywhere from every 4 weeks to every 8 weeks. And usually every 6 to 8 weeks is kind of the average, I guess, rate of retightening for a typical retightening schedule. But all those retightenings are going to cost money, right? Like I said in the beginning, Sister Locks is an investment, and so is getting your hair retightened and maintained while you have Sister Locks. But after you've had your locks for 6 months, you can pay to take a retightening class so you can learn how to retighten your own locks. Now, most of the time, this class is going to be $100 or more. And like I said, Sister Locks is an investment, especially on the front end. But after you finish your class, you can retighten your hair on your own. And so then you're not having to pay your sister lock consultant to retighten your hair, because you're maintaining your own hair. And as a matter of fact, that's going to be my plan. Like, I literally know, like, okay, when I hit the 6 month mark, I'm going to go ahead and take the retightening class so I can maintain my own locks and minimize the cost of maintaining and having my locks. So I hope that you found these tips helpful. I really can't wait to hear how you use one or all of these, tips, hopefully. And I hope that if nothing else, one or all of these tips will help you achieve your goal of getting Sister Lock sometime this year. So I'll talk to you soon. Take care.